Hi everybody, it's Kim from Fleece and Harmony, and this is episode 115 of the Fleece and Harmony Knitting and Crochet podcast, and you're watching this on February 17th, 2023. I'm recording this on February 14th in my yarn shop, in the woolen mill, on the sheep farm, our sheep farm, Harmony Meadow in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. So thank you so much for joining me. If you're an old friend that's been visiting since we started, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to the craziness. So as always, I'm just going to do a little rundown of what we're going to talk about today. So as always, we'll start with a farm update. Then I want to talk a little bit about Rowan and a new program that they have called Rowan Connect. And I'm going to show you how to access that. If you're a Rowan fan, you're going to want to see this for sure. And then we're going to hop right over to the segment with Betsy. So there's a whole mishmash of finished objects and works in progress, and it all ties into the shop update. So Betsy and I are going to sit together and talk about all of those things in that segment. After the shop update, I'm going to do the list of 5. And this week we are going to feature the patterns of Jennifer Beale. And we'll talk about Jennifer and all of the lovely patterns that she does. And then at the very end, we have the harmony part as usual. And we figured this time we did a little montage of pictures of our sheep, and we're going to introduce some of the sheep to you a little bit up close and personal. So that's in the harmony part. It'll be music and pictures, but not all the sheep have names, but we will introduce you and tell you the ones that do have names, and you'll be able to see their names and listen to some beautiful, peaceful music at the same time. So we'll get started with the farm update. And usually the farm update has to do with the weather, and it's no exception this time because it has been, if you've been following along, you know that the weather has been unusually warm. We hardly have any snow at all. And there's been a big concern because the Canada Games are to take place. Do they start this week or at the beginning of next week? Actually, I think they start at the end of this week. We have athletes coming from all over Canada to do winter games here in PEI. And I don't think we have been able to string 5 days together that it's been below zero. And it fluctuates wildly to, +4 down to -12. And then it's up to, we're going to actually have a day this week that is going to get up to +6. And it's a bit crazy. And then out of the blue, we had a day that was -25 Celsius on the thermometer and -40 with the wind chill factor. It was crazy, crazy cold and very, very windy. For people that know what's happening because they've been following along, our house is under renovation. We do have a furnace, and we do have insulation that has been replaced in half of the house. The other half of the house has old insulation, which means no insulation basically, or it's all settled down along the sills of the inside the walls. And so it's a bit crazy. We had our windows put in a week and a half ago. And then we were watching the weather warnings because it was going to go down to, with a wind chill factor of -40 degrees. And our windows were coming in and out like every day. They were trying to get the windows done before the cold weather hit. And literally we had a patio door that also had to be installed. So literally on the day that it was to start, the weather was to turn on last Friday. And it was to go from like a -3 down to -25 starting at noon. And the guys from the window company did a great job. There was a gigantic 8-foot by 8-foot hole in the side of the house at 8 o'clock in the morning. And by 12 o'clock at noon, there was a door there. So it was really, really lucky. And then it actually did go down to -40 with the wind chill. So Saturday morning, Ken and I woke up, and Ken got up through the night to go to the washroom, and that slightly woke me up. So then I got up to go to the washroom, And when I went to flush the toilet, there was no water. Our pipes were frozen. So everywhere, in the sink, the tub, and the toilet. So we figured out, of course, then we couldn't sleep after that. So we figured out that the pipes had frozen in the wall, in the floor, between the two floors, the lower floor and the upper floor. There was wind coming in there, and obviously froze the pipes there, and we had no idea how long the section was. So Ken actually MacGyvered, and if you're old enough to know what MacGyver, what that means, he rigged up the shop vac actually, and put a hose that actually sucks air into one of the vents from the furnace, and the hose that goes on the outlet that actually blows air, and he fed that hose under the floor and to thaw out the pipes. So we actually had to demo the bathroom that we're using to be able to get the shop vac hose in there. That bathroom will be demoed and is no longer going to exist at the end of the renovation, but we didn't expect to be doing it at 3:30 in the morning last Saturday. And we had to run the shop vac with that kind of thing jury rigged up for about 2.5 to 3 hours before the pipes actually, we started to get a trickle of water. So luckily nothing froze to the extent that there wasn't a drop of water coming out of the pipe, so they were frozen solid. But luckily we were able to thaw them, and probably it's a good thing that they thawed kind of gradually. And we didn't have any frozen pipes that burst, so we were feeling pretty lucky. But man, it was really cold. And it was the back of the bathtub sits against the outside wall, and there were droplets of water that were on the back of the bathtub that were stuck there from whoever had a shower in the morning. They were actually frozen drops right in the bathroom. It was crazy cold. The animals are all good, so no need to worry. They all made it through. They had lots of straw, and the sheep have full fleeces on, because we're just coming up to getting close to the time that we'll shear them. And the horses had extra winter blankets on to protect them just from the sheer depth of the cold that was around there. So, but everybody was warm under their blankets or under their fleece, and there was and the rabbits, of course, have so much fur that's so warm that it's crazy. So they were fine as well. So that was the excitement for the cold weather. Now we're like at -3 Celsius, and we thought that everything was fine. And then we have a new high efficiency furnace as part of the renovation. And the thermostat will actually send you a message. They'll actually email, the thermostat emails you if there's something wrong with the furnace. And then this morning, those emails started to arrive early in the morning that the furnace wasn't coming on. So when I got up to go see what was going on, it was 10 degrees in the house. It's a propane furnace, and we're on automatic delivery. But I think because of the cold snap, they're just trying to gauge how often they have to come to do the delivery, because it's a new furnace. So we've only had it for 2.5 months. So they've been coming regularly. But I think with the cold snap, we used more propane than what they expected. So they got an emergency call or an emergency email from our furnace saying that we were out of propane. So they had to come this morning, and I think it was probably down to about 8.5 degrees in the house by the time that they came. They came right away, but it was dropping fairly quickly. So I said to Ken, I can't believe this. I thought those days were over as far as the cold in the house. But anyway, and we have the wood stove, which we could have normally lit, but that's been decommissioned right now because they're doing the gyprock in the room where the wood furnace is. So that's covered with plastic, so it doesn't get all the drywall dust and mud on it. So it's just, I don't know. It's every day is an adventure, that's for sure. But everybody's safe and everybody's warm. And tonight we're going to, I'll be happy tomorrow morning when I put my little feet out of the bed and it'll be nice and cozy warm in there again. So that's it. So all a little bit crazy. And that's about it. So even when you think there's not going to be any weather to talk about, there's still weather to talk about because those kind of crazy things happen. And now I wanted to talk, I mentioned in the introduction that I wanted to talk about Rowan Connect. So as many of you know, we are a Rowan flagship store in Canada. I think there's 10 flagship stores in Canada, and Fleece and Harmony is one of them. So we carry almost every line that Rowan makes. We don't carry superwash yarn in our store. That's just a thing. So we don't have their superwash line that they have, although we do have their sock yarn, which has superwash yarn in it, but they have a specific superwash yarn that we don't carry. That's one of the few that we don't carry. And we have all of the colors in all the lines of Rowan that we have. So if you're looking for Rowan yarn and you want a store that has every color that they make in the selected yarn that you're looking for, then we do carry that as part of our mission with Rowan. And of course, all of their lovely books and patterns and everything. And Rowan has come up with a new program actually for customers, not for their flagship stores. But I was really, it's really fun to see what they're doing. They have a website, and if you Google Knit Rowan, you'll be able to find their website. When you go on their website, there's a tab at the top called Rowan Connect. And if you click on Rowan Connect, it's actually a resource for customers that are buying their yarns. So in there you have tutorials, and I'm going to do a little tour of that site. So I don't need to explain too much here before we see the little tour that I recorded. But the exciting part about Rowan Connect is they do virtual events, and they're doing one at the end of March. I think it starts on March 25th, and I'm actually going to be featured on it, and Fleece and Harmony is going to be featured as one of the segments for being a flagship store. So they do a little segment where they introduce 2 flagship stores, and I'm one, and there's another store in the UK, and we're going to sit and have a little chat about our businesses and things like that. So that's just one small part of the 2 or 3 day event that they're holding virtually. They have all kinds of instructors that are doing virtual classes on that with that event. I think Kate Atherley is doing a segment. Patty Lyons is doing a segment, and then they have a bunch of different classes as well. So it's not that obvious how to get to it though. So I have recorded a little my screen as I've navigated around the website, and I'm going to show you how you can access Rowan Connect. Rowan Connect also has a specific email list that they have, so you can register to sign up for Rowan Connect. And once you're registered for the email, you will get notifications when these events are going to take place. If you're going to see in the segment that I recorded that there's a special section on the web page that says virtual events, but there's only one event there because the one that I'm on in the end of March is not posted there yet, but that section would be where you would find it. So let's hop over to the recording that I did, and I'll talk you through how to find Rowan Connect on the Rowan website and where you can sign up to be on the newsletter list for Rowan Connect. So just to be clear, that newsletter has nothing to do with the newsletter that we do for Fleece and Harmony. It is directly with the Rowan company. So if you're signed up for our newsletter, you're not signed up for that, and vice versa. If you sign up for Rowan Connect, you'll get their emails, but you're not signed up for you have to sign in separately for our newsletter. So let's hop over to the tour, and you can take a look. So here we are on the Knit Rowan website. This is the landing page. We're going to click up here on the button for Rowan Connect, and this takes you into the Rowan Connect space, which is the interactive space. And here you have just the banners introducing Rowan Connect. You have a couple sections on this page. You have the virtual live events, which is where we're going to talk about the event that's coming up. And you also have an online learning space. And in this space, you can have information about the tutors and the designers that they have. You'll see there Learn to Knit Basics. So there's actual knitting instruction there, tutorials in there, and other assets and resources that you can use. So today, we're going to focus on the virtual live event space, and we're just going to click here to explore. There's only one event in here right now, but the event that's happening at the end of March will be updated here shortly. So right now you can see there's a Rowan Spring Summer 2023 celebration, and that's going to talk about things that are coming up in the new magazine. You have a newsletter sign up. If you sign up for the newsletter under Rowan Connect, you will be notified of events as a preview before they're advertised publicly. So that gives you a first chance to sign up for the classes and virtual events. So those events are comprised of free classes and lectures and ones that you have to pay for, but it's different all the time. So you'll just have to check it out. So I hope that helps. Okay, so that's pretty cool, especially when they have the little tutorials and everything that are free, and you can go and explore around there. And the events are really, really good. They started it last year, and they had 2 events last year, I think. And their objective is to have 4 in a year. So this will be, I think they had one already in the beginning of February or January. This will be the second one. So we can count on, they'll probably have 2 more coming up this year. Also, I forgot to mention that Sue Matten from Wallflowers, or the Mercerie, which is the designer for the Wallflowers project that I'm working on. And she is actually also going to have a class during the virtual event at the end of March. So that's going to be cool. I think I'm going to attend that one myself as well. So we're going to go to the segment with Betsy. Betsy and I are going to do the shop update together, and we have a whole list of stuff, as I said, that we have to go through. So we're going to sit together for a little bit longer than usual this time. And let's see what Betsy is up to, and we'll talk about our projects and kind of the successes and the challenges that we've had over the last 2 weeks. So let's take a look at that. Hi, Betsy.
Hi, Kim.
It's still light.
Yeah.
Yes. The days are getting longer already.
Little by little.
Yes. And if you've been watching all of our episodes, you've probably seen that normally we're doing this in the dark, and we're doing it at the same time as we usually do today.
Yep. Ken had to move the camera so that the light from the window wouldn't interfere.
Wow.
This is good news.
Might be dark by the time we're done, but we'll see what happens. So, but this is pretty light.
Yes.
It's not even dusk.
Nope.
No. So did you have a good 2 weeks?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
Not as much knitting as I hoped.
No.
We can talk a bit more about that, but yeah, but in general, life was good.
So I think we should tell people what you did today.
Oh.
Because Betsy wasn't working here today.
No.
She was doing her charity good deed. No, not charity.
Fundraising.
Yeah, fundraising.
Yeah. So my daughter's grade 9 class does an end of school year trip, and they do a couple different fundraising events throughout the year. So they asked families, what might you be able to contribute or do? And my husband, as I believe people have called it, a side hustle.
Yeah.
his side hustle is a donut business.
He's a teacher.
Yes.
Yes.
And he makes donuts on the weekends.
Yes. When Betsy helps him.
I do.
At 3 a.m. in the morning.
Today it was 1:30.
Oh, you were there at 1:30?
We had 750 mini donuts to get through before 8 a.m.
Yeah, I don't even smell one.
We just made it. They're all gone. But needless to say, I haven't slept much. So if I look a little tired, that's why.
You look lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So you never even had a nap?
No, I thought about it, but I was like, but then it will interrupt tonight's sleep, and then that will throw off tomorrow. So I decided to forego it altogether. So tomorrow afternoon by 2, I told Ken to watch out. I might be yawning.
Oh, okay, because you have to work tomorrow.
Yeah, but that's okay. I want to.
All right.
Yeah.
So if we see you slowly sliding into the carter because you fell asleep while you were doing the carding, we'll be sure.
Wake me up.
Yeah. If her hair is cut really short next time, then you'll know what happened. Something went wrong. Anyway.
It's getting a little out of control. It might
We're
be
just
time for a
joking.
cut.
Don't write about health and safety. We'll make
We're
sure
all
she
good.
doesn't fall in the carter.
Yes.
Yeah.
All good.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was today's adventure. I enjoyed it, but I don't want to do it tomorrow.
And just remind me, what kind of donuts did you make?
So we
The
did
flavors, because he always does these really cool flavors.
These were fairly straightforward, just because they were for a fundraiser.
Had to appeal to the masses.
Yes. Okay. So I think we did a simple Valentine's sprinkle, a score, a honey glazed, and a chocolate glazed.
Is a score really just something simple? I don't think.
Well, I think he put that one in there because it seems to be one of his best sellers.
Oh, okay.
So he just puts chocolate glaze with score bit sprinkles on top.
Ah, okay. Yeah. He doesn't make like the little score bars.
No, he hasn't
usually
attempted
makes
that
everything
yet.
all the way from scratch.
Yeah.
Like going and picking the apples for the apple fritters and stuff like that. So
yes.
Yeah, so that so it was a successful fundraiser,
It
right?
was,
Because everybody had to
yes.
pre-order.
Yes, they had to pre-order.
Yeah.
So at one point, when she came home and told us how many, we were like, oh, this could get really out of control because we didn't put a cap on it.
Yeah.
So thank goodness she goes to a small country school and there's only, I'm going to get this wrong, like 12 or 15 students in her class. So it worked out all good. And we were able to do it between the two of us, but we'll have to be more careful.
But it still was 750.
Still something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I lost count.
How many did you think you were going to have to make? Like 400?
Yeah, we figured around 400.
Okay, double.
Yeah, that's what we'd kind of been thinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So they'll have a good trip.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think today what we're going to do is I've already done, my future self has already done a little bit of an introduction and talked a couple things about Rowan, but I think we should just show, I didn't get much knitting. Well, I got lots of knitting done, but it's boring.
Oh, okay.
Boring knitting.
Where I didn't get knitting done. I have some sort of injury going on in my arm, and I had to try to respect that. And so I tried my best to respect it, but I still have a little something to show that I started, but I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
That relates back to the conversation we had last time.
Which was?
Just about you trying to decide what project you want to do. So we'll talk about that. But I have I have a big pile here on the table.
That's what we keep looking at.
Yes, there's a big pile on the table. There's something very interesting on the front of it. So I have no finished objects because I'm just working. I'll show what I've got done on my Maya sweater for the Kristen Drysdale Scandiworks Cal. Yeah. I did get more, and we have to talk about what I said I was going to do last time because things sometimes don't work out even for me. So, and I decided I wasn't going to rip back. So we'll talk about that. And I have my sleeves continue to get longer for my cowl cardigan, but once again, it's just straight garter. So luckily, just things, Providence sometimes just, smiles on you. That our good friend Audrey came into the store. So Audrey is actually the customer that told me about Fruity Knitting for the very first time. Yes, so she's been a long time customer of ours. Okay. And she came into the store the other day and she brought this project. So this is made out of Iona Bunny. So she bought 3 skeins of Iona Bunny, not this latest batch that we did, but a couple years ago.
I was going to say, I don't remember having that one.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. So this was periwinkle, and then there's oyster, or I think it's oyster or pearl, and seafoam. Nice. So she had these 3 skeins, and she didn't know what she wanted to do with them, but she made this shawl, and it's a mosaic shawl. The name of it is The Cold Pale Moon by Helen Kennedy. So in preparation for showing this shawl today, I decided to do a little research on the pattern because I'm going to obviously talk about the pattern. And how the pattern was envisioned by the designer was that you use 2 colors, and then in the mosaic part, it was kind of like a mixing of the 2 colors. But Audrey decided to put in a 3rd color.
Right.
And I find it's a really good solution because I wouldn't necessarily knit these 2 colors together like as color work one on top of each other. You said you would do it.
I would.
Yeah.
I totally would.
But I think this little section makes a good transition.
It does.
So if you have a color that can bring both of those colors together.
It softens it, which I think is lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's mosaic knitting. So these are all slip stitches. So you don't need to carry, there's no floats or whatever. You it's slip stitches to make.
So that means it's one color per line. You never have two colors running through the same line.
That's right.
Okay.
And I have never knit mosaic knitting before. Yes. And I don't know if Audrey is particularly good at mosaic knitting or if it's the way the pattern's written, since I have never done it. People can comment if they want. But it's almost imperceptible that those are slip stitches.
It really is. There's a few that you can tell because the stitch kind of like leans a tiny bit, but most of them, it's pretty hard to tell.
Yeah.
You really considering there's actually like, it appears as though she knit with two colors in one row.
And did floats.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And some people have commented, oh, well, usually mosaic is pretty easy to spot, like right away you can spot it. But this is she's done a really good job. It's
she really has. I haven't done mosaic because I'm not attracted to the finished look of it usually.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think I've ever seen it in person. You're just looking at it on Ravelry patterns or in a book, that kind of thing. I always feel it looks a little bit lumpy.
Oh, okay.
But this does not.
No.
So again, like you said, I don't know if it's her knitting skills or if it's the way where they have you put the slip stitches.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah. People will know. They'll talk to us. And so Iona Bunny you can't get. We sold out the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago.
Something like that.
In 35 minutes, really. So sorry that you can't get it. But I wanted to talk about this pattern. So then I looked on Ravelry because I wanted to look up the designer and just see like what she was about. And when I punched in Cold Pale Moon, there was like six I was going to say recipes. Six patterns came up.
Oh.
So there's a hat, there's a cowl, there's mitts, and there's a sweater.
Wow.
And the sweater it's a top down. You're doing the mosaic around. So if you don't want to do color work, like the floats and everything, well, I think they're still kind of floaty, but I don't know.
Speak to it because I really don't know.
Anyway,
it does
something happens in the back.
Yeah.
I can't really tell.
It's neat. It's very neat, but there's there are stretches we can see here.
Yeah. Must be just where it jumps up to the anyway. But the sweater, I have put a picture here somewhere at this point, and it's really nice. And some of the examples of the projects there's some really fantastic combinations of colors that people have used. Okay. And I almost think that I might want to knit one, but I'm not necessarily a big fan of top-down yoke sweaters, but I'm intrigued with the process
of it. Yeah, I would say for me, the only thing I've discovered that I don't enjoy about the top-down yoke is because I already had to fix my Fox one, getting those holes in the sleeves right and getting those holes tied up, because you end up putting a lot of pressure, I think, on those. Okay. I feel like a lot of pressure happens right at this here and then at the back as well. And because I did a more fitted, I feel like that's where it doesn't give you a lot of movement there.
That's why I don't like them either. It's because your pits are down here.
Limited.
Although I think that we'll see. Anyway, the projects look great. The combination of colors is particularly interesting, the way that people have done it. Okay. And I don't even want to say anything about this because I am not going to start another sweater right now, but it would lend itself particularly well to, you remember that fantastic combination of fuchsia and Loden green that I was talking about?
Yeah.
It would be fantastic in that.
So would it be predominantly fuchsia with pops? No, the other way around.
And then this part would be the fuchsia. And there's a couple examples on how I said her name, Helen Kennedy. So Helen Kennedy, she's got quite a few patterns. And like I said, if you put in the search on Ravelry, Cold Pale Moon, you'll see all of them. And there's one that's kind of like a fiery orange with a brown, like a brownie, black, almost like our natural black color. Yeah. And just the way it just softens.
I was going to say, there's obviously something about it that you can put these really strong contrasting colors together, but it's not jarring.
No, it's really stunning. So Anyway, I'll put that on the wish list. Anyway, I would encourage you, if you want to try something that looks like it might be a pretty cool project, and there's something for everybody, because it goes all the way from mitts to hats to, I don't know if there were socks there, but a cowl, a sweater.
You know, Kim, you wouldn't have to take on the whole sweater. You could try it in the hat pattern or the mitts.
Yeah.
I mean, a hat you only have to make one. Even mitts you have to make two.
Yeah, I have another idea for a hat, though.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the shawl, and I'm sorry you can't buy this yarn, but you know.
What are some other things possibly in our shop you could do it with that are a similar weight to our bunny? Because the bunny's not available right now.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You know what would feel really nice in this is the Rowan alpaca soft DK.
A lot of scrooge.
Yes, it would be really
and
nice.
And just that real, it's so soft.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could probably, it's not really thick enough, but the alpaca classic held double would also be really nice.
And it would, because it has a little extra fuzz to it, it would fill in.
It's even more mixy.
Yeah.
Like it would even
get an
mix
even
more,
subtler
but you'd
blend.
have to hold it double. And in our yarns, this is, the Iona Bunny is a DK. So people that bought cashmere could do this.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a DK all the time, but you could do it with worsted as well.
Yeah.
But I think part of the melting effect of this is that there's a little bit of a little bit more halo. So.
And the bunny in here just gives it such a beautiful drape. I can, like, as you're handling it, I can just see it like flopping. And that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really nice. So Cold Pale Moon by Helen Kennedy. Thank you, Audrey. I was going to say Andrea because
Audrey introduced you to Andrea.
Yeah, exactly, Audrey. So thank you, Audrey, and she's allowing us to keep the sample in the store for a little while.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then I'll give it back to her because
maybe if the heat ever turns off in here, one of us will have to wear it on the podcast.
Yes, it's beautiful. Okay, so that's
I'll shift it
a
over
finished
here. We'll kind of pass it along
perfect.
here.
Yeah, so that's a finished object. And so do you want to start your...
It's funny. It's the one thing in their shop that actually, like, it doesn't make me sneeze, but I can
feel it.
Yeah.
It
tickles my nose.
Yes. So do you want, because I have two works in progress.
Sure, and mine actually ties in. I'm assuming you're asking me if I want to show mine, as I completely cut you off.
Yes. So do you want to show yours now?
I will.
Okay.
So it ties into mosaic, even though there's nothing about it that looks like it does.
Okay.
So I was looking at crochet projects. I wanted to try a crochet garment. I just wasn't feeling it. I couldn't settle on anything. And so I found a technique, and I was like, oh, well, this is neat. I want to try this technique. So it's mosaic crochet.
Okay, which I had never heard of before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like crocheted color work, but I believe it's mosaic, and there's two different types, and now I'm completely forgetting what they were called. They may be done a slightly different way, but I'm still learning because I haven't actually done it. So the point of this shawl is that this is very simple and straightforward, but the next section will be mosaic.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes into another solid section, and then there's another band of mosaic as well.
And is the mosaic, well, you'll have to tell me what the name of the pattern is.
I would if I could remember it. I've gone completely blank.
So
I'm going to have to put it on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, so we'll do a title, and then I'll do a picture of the actual pattern. Is it on Ravelry?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep, it's
so
on Ravelry.
we'll do that. That's no
Okay.
problem. So how has this worked? Like, how do you start?
It started here in this little spot right here.
Okay.
And then you go.
Is it like a tab?
You go,
Like
I don't
you
know.
start-
You go up and down, back and forth this way. And each time it grows.
Okay, so it started up here then.
No, it started down here.
Oh, okay.
And then it grew. So then the next one, I increased 2 stitches here when I came back, and then you come back and you increase 2 stitches.
I see.
And it just, and you're also increasing here. So you have a center spot that you're supposed to have a marker, but if I can avoid using markers, I generally do, because I don't know how many times I'm digging through my couch to find my dropped stitch marker.
Right. And what is the stitch
It's
itself?
just single crochet.
It's single crochet.
I know, but what I did is I started with much smaller.
Sorry, single crochet is like double crochet in the UK, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the one where you're not putting any additional wraps around your hook.
That's right.
It's just the straight single through.
Yeah.
But what I did is I'm doing it on a 6.5 millimeter, or
okay.
they call it a K. So it's it's a pretty chunky, chunky hook.
So
it's
a really
giving me
nice,
air.
like eyelets almost.
Yeah, and I think that's just the space that the size of the stitch provides.
Nice.
Because I did start on smaller, and it was too tight. I wanted it more airy.
Okay.
And I find with wool, you want to give it some space to have spots where the air can get trapped.
Is this grape soda sock?
This is, yes.
Okay.
No, it's flock fingering, I think.
Oh, flock fingering. Okay. Yeah. So quite fine.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because it's thick.
Well, that's crochet, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm also hesitant to do a whole garment in crochet, because it does use a lot more yarn, and
it's beefier.
It's very much so, because you have just so much more yarn around one stitch than a knit
flock
stitch.
fingering is tiny.
Look how fine that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still
another yarn that we don't carry regularly
at the moment.
But if you sign up to the newsletter, a lot of you have. Thank you very much. A lot of these special yarns get posted there first, and then so there's been a few.
So lately. Flock fingering is it some mohair in it? Is that what's in flock fingering? I don't even know.
It's just wool.
Just wool. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a different weight that we do at certain times. Yeah. So that's the start of a shawl. And not that I really need another shawl, but I thought it's a great canvas to try a new technique.
Right.
So I'm learning a new technique instead of doing a full garment. I have found one garment I don't know. I said that last time and then I didn't do it, so we'll see.
Okay. So about your shoulder then. So because you're doing crochet, is that bothering your shoulder as well, or is it?
It is, because I think it has something to do with the clenching motion that is like traveling all the way up. Or what I did to my shoulder travels all the way down.
You need to borrow the store copy of Carson DeMare's Knitting Comfortably.
Yeah, and I need to read it through and find out.
He'll fix you up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been doing some
just remind me that I lent it to you. Because I'll go looking for it.
Kim gets a little panicked when she can't find her books.
Yeah, when I can't find anything that I want.
Okay.
I'm just one of those. I hardly ever lose anything.
Yeah.
And that because I don't sleep until I find it. So, but if it's at your
I'll
house,
put a sticky right on your computer that
no,
says at Betsy's
I'll
house.
remember, because we've talked about it now for 5 minutes. So I'll remember. Surely I will remember. I couldn't remember Audrey's name, but actually I could remember Audrey's name. I was just going to say Andrea. Okay. So who had no sleep last night? Okay. So now we'll talk about. There's the knit along.
Yes.
You didn't bring your Cordelia
I didn't bring
cardigan.
it because, again, I was fine. So the other reason that this worked is it's really lightweight.
Right.
Holding doing color work with 2 strands of worsted, the weight now as I'm working up the body of the sweater was really bothering, so I didn't do a thing on it.
Okay. Yeah. So for those that are late to the party, we have a knit along happening with Kristen Drysdale's patterns, or Scandi work if you look them up. So this started when she had hit 100 patterns on Ravelry. And so that was a while ago. I think it was like October. But she does a lot of sweaters, but she does a lot of everything. 100 patterns. She's got slippers and mitts, and her book, the Nordic Knitting Primer, and everything. So it's kind of wide open. You can knit whatever you want. It ends on April 30th. It's getting a little tight now if you want to do a sweater, but Kristen did do a sweater in a week for the fiber fish.
That's the one I'm knitting. I am not accomplishing it in a week.
No. So just depending on how fast you're knitting and how motivated you are just to do that, then you can still do it and join us. So I did a pattern started a sweater from the Nordic Knitting Primer. If you don't know about the Nordic Knitting Primer, it's Kristen's first book, and it's a really, really good one. The way the book is set up is that it's about color work, obviously, stranded color work. And she sets you up with the easiest skills to learn first, and then as you go through the book, if you continue to knit all of the patterns, she adds more skills to your repertoire. Nice. So I'm doing the Maya sweater, and it is I don't know where it is in the book. It's about halfway through, so you've already learnt a few a few skills. Okay.
Oh, we're hooked into other.
Yes, my Cal cardigan
projects.
is trying to keep. Okay.
I'll hold these so they don't take off.
Okay. So it doesn't look like I have much progress really, except I have knit like 5 inches, I think, since the last. So unfortunately, you know, I'm always talking about how slow I'm knitting. If I had been a little bit slower, I wouldn't have all of this explanation to do in this segment. So the last time I was here, I was all cheeky and saying I'm going to do a little bit of waist shaping because it's a good project to do some customization on. So I'm going to show the picture of the Maya, but the Maya is really supposed to be teaching people how to do color work. So there is no color work on the real pattern at the bottom here. This is a vented hem, which I love. My first time that I've done that, which is, you know, it's been around for a while. And I was dreaming of the relaxation of, hopefully that's not going to, that's on my, the relaxation of doing knitting in the round ad nauseum. And then I got this far up after the rib and said, yeah, okay, this is not for me. This is a little too relaxed. So I added, took one of the motifs that's going to be repeated in the yoke, and I put it just here as a little band at the bottom. And now I'm doing straight stockinette.
Yes.
And the intention was, it goes straight up, like it's completely straight, is that I was going to use the stockinette, you know, a mile of stockinette to learn a new technique about shaping, waist shaping, using Amy Herzog's technique of darts. So I was going to put darts in the back of this and to give it a little bit of waist shaping.
I'm really curious to hear where this is all going because she keeps saying was.
Yes,
was.
But I'm not now because I had knit too far to start the waist shaping.
Then I'm not understanding a knitted dart, I don't think.
Yeah. So after I left here, almost like immediately after I left here, after recording the last one, I did all my measurements to see like where do I want the darts. I'm making this sweater just a little bit longer than what's the pattern calls for, because I do like them just to be a little bit, I don't want it like right in the middle of my hips. I want it a little bit longer.
For those of us who just don't know much about, like my sister is a sewist, so she knows these terms, and I've heard darts thrown around, but what exactly is a dart?
Well, it's just an area of decreases and increases.
Like on a dress, would it be that section where you suddenly see it has a seam maybe on the back?
Yes, so they take a triangle of fabric and sew it.
Right.
But the secret to a good dart is that you have a gradual in and then a gradual out, or whatever. So that
you missed.
And I missed my moment of opportunity.
Her point of entry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had done all of the measurements according to how Amy suggests that you measure, like what size you want and everything.
Right.
And because of where this sweater is going to hit on my hips, it's going to, I couldn't start it because I did the color work. I wasn't even planning on starting it. I thought I thought I could do about 8 inches. 8 inches is where my waist starts.
Oh.
So it's too late. You need to gradually do the decreases so that you're going in gradually to the waist.
So by the time you reach the waist, you actually want to be completed your increases.
Exactly.
I mean your decreases.
That's right.
Because then you're going to go up for a bit with that fully decreased.
And you want a number of rows between each of the decreases so that it's a gradual slope.
Right.
So in fact, I should have started them right after the color work.
Down. Okay.
And gradually go up, and then the 8 inches is about here. That is exactly where my weight. And I measured a couple other sweaters that I have that I like the fit of, and they all said the same thing, that I was too late.
You were too late. Oh dear.
And then the other complication is that because we've talked about this all the time, no hips and no bum, basically, just flat pancake. So, but that's not the case after the waist. On the top of the waist, I have to go up, and I really didn't have enough, like to make it look like a gradual.
Okay.
I should have really started.
You didn't want it a cliff.
No, I didn't want it to go like coming out like
An overhang.
Yeah, whatever, Star Wars something or other.
Aww.
So no shaping.
Okay.
It's just going to be straight.
So it'll just be a nice throw-on, relaxed sweater.
Yes, it's fine because it's not oversized and it's not going to be too big for me. In fact, I think it might have just a little touch of negative ease.
Okay, which means then your actual shape will put shape into it.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, so I'll be all right, but I didn't get to do my experiment.
What you wanted. Yeah.
Yes. So, anyway, sorry, Amy and viewers. This is just going to be straight. Now I'm just knitting, and I think this is somewhere around 11 inches now. And I will do 15 at least, and then I'm going to see how I might do an extra inch or so because I know that our yarn, when I block it, it's going to shorten up a little bit.
Now remind me, or let me know, because if I'm picturing this pattern, does your color work actually start below the armhole?
I think yes.
I think it does.
Yes,
on
it
this
does.
one.
And which is the other reason why I wanted to knit this sweater, is because Kristen has figured out how to not have those bat wings with a long yoke.
Yeah. Now you are working bottom up though.
It's not top down. No. But she figured it out.
Okay.
And I know this because Janet, who works here, knit this sweater, and it fits her beautifully.
Nice.
And the arm is where, which I think a yarn on the underarm should be.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's so this is purple cone flower. And by the way, if anybody's jumped to this segment and wonders why I'm not talking about what I'm knitting, I'm going to get to that after, or what I'm wearing.
Oh, okay.
Then we'll talk about what we're wearing after.
Sure.
So this is in purple cone flower, Selkirk worsted, the color, the dark color, and Mayflower will be the light color.
Nice.
So that's that.
I love purple cone flower. You probably can't see it on the camera, but it actually has the tiniest little splashes, almost of a dark pink in it.
Almost. Yeah.
Oh,
if you're really a pink.
I don't want to say pink to Kim.
No, if you're a pink lover and dream of pink all the time, you can almost see pink in it.
Almost find pink in it.
That's what I'll say about that.
Which I am.
Yeah, I know. And then the cowl cardigan. I should have had this closer, but
our table's a little far away.
Yeah.
We're stretching.
Oh, okay. So now I just took my ball apart.
Uh-oh.
I have to get the nose pin out again.
Oh dear.
So here are the sleeves. And I have a story about this too.
Oh, okay. Stories. So
all of that, sorry about the Maya, all of that was because I didn't want to rip back
to
actually put because I said, okay,
so you've abandoned it because you
enough.
don't want to go backwards.
Yeah, because I'll have to do it on the next sweater. So this is the sleeves, 2 at a time, garter for my cowl cardigan. And I'm increasing every 10 rows. So I have about, I think I have about 40 rows left to do before they're
so
now.
about 4 more increases, roughly.
Yeah,
3 or 4.
Yeah, something like that. So I think it's roughly up to here now.
Nice. Okay.
So it's moving along, but boring as heck because there's just nothing to show. I did move my little thing, but it got a little exciting 2 days ago.
What happened?
Well, I have this little pin here because I have a tendency to pick up my knitting, and when I love to do 2 at a time, but it happens fairly regularly that I somehow go back on the same one more than once.
I'm not quite sure.
I don't know
how you do it.
So this was a trick that was told to me by a friend, and she said, well, sometimes it's easier if you pin them together and then you make sure that you go all the way to the end and you finish the whole row.
Yeah.
And then there's no chance that you can go back.
There's no stopping. And there's no stopping in a weird spot. So
yesterday I picked it up and my pin was down here and it looked like there was a bubble in the pin like this. I was like, how did that happen? And I measured, and sure enough, I had 2 more rows on one side than the other. I actually don't know how it did it.
You're so relaxed in your knitting, you just zone out.
I don't know. It's almost impossible to even figure out how I did it.
And I don't know, because I don't think I've really run into, but I haven't done near as many 2 at a time as you do either.
Wow. I have no clue what happened. Anyway, it's fixed.
Okay,
now.
so you solved it.
Yeah, so I had to unpin it. I had to go back and forth on one.
So it's not that you ever accidentally run the same, like the ball of yarn that belongs to this one.
No, you can't,
Okay.
because then it would be joined.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
that's
you
what I
can't.
would be worried I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm afraid to look too closely, because the only thing that could have happened is that I started a row and then I left it at the very beginning. So there is a slight possibility that there's actually an extra row on 4 or 5 stitches.
Oh, no one will see that.
No, I can't see it.
No.
So
If
I'm
it's there,
thinking
we'll never know. Don't count it.
I can't, because I can't think of anything
How
else.
else you would have done it?
It
I
might
don't
be
know.
right there.
Oh.
I don't know.
Torturing yourself. She's finding
I
it.
don't know. I don't know why. So anyway,
Yeah.
this is, I feel like I'm on the home stretch.
Okay.
Then there's just that giant cowl to do afterwards.
Round and round and round.
But I'm going to you sew it up before you pick up for the cowl.
Okay.
So at least it'll look like something.
You'll feel like you have a garment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So that's that. And now, this is why I'm not a big fan of these cakes sometimes, because now I just picked that up and this is all, now I've got yarn bar.
Yeah, that's all right. So meditative Nosta pinning.
Well,
is in
I'd have
order.
to break it to do this. So anyway, so that's that.
Okay.
So
Projects on the go.
yes. So I also have other knitted projects that I want to show, but it's
Okay.
part of the shop update. So
All right.
you have to stick around for the shop
Sure,
update this
no
time.
problem.
So
I can hang
there's
out.
not, we're kind of like in between seasons in the shop. We've already done the special yarns that we wanted to do. People that watched the last podcast knew that we were doing cashmere for the newsletter that happened last Friday. And that's
It's
almost sold out. There's a couple, we changed some of the colors. So
Okay.
because we knew that if we did all purples and blues and whatever, it would sell out, very quickly. But we wanted to give people a chance that want some of the warmer colors to do some other things. So there is a little bit of clover left,
Okay.
which is a green. I can't guarantee that it'll actually still be left by the time this airs, but there is a couple skeins of clover left. So that went really well. So, and Rowan is not here yet. They delayed their launch for spring and summer 2023 until March 1st. It's usually February 1st.
I'm okay with that, because if they showed up here in the shop, then I'd start expecting spring to actually show up.
Oh yeah, so
And
that's
I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
No. And my farm report at the beginning,
Told us
minus
about
40 and then plus
Oy.
6 and then whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
it's not, spring's not
Not here yet.
We might be fooled and hopeful some days, but it's not coming yet. So there's not really a lot. So I figured that I would dig out a project that I loved that I haven't shown in a long time, and it's made with our own yarn.
I'm
So
looking at it here thinking, I don't think I've seen this.
yes. Oop.
Whoa, there goes stuff.
Okay, so then it uses 3 colors. Our producer,
I can hold the yarn.
you can okay, so this is a Hap shawl that was knit from Selkirk worsted, and it was knit by the lovely Simone, who works here now, and it was designed by Cheryl Wortman, who's a good friend of Caw Creations, is the name of her design company, and it
How
is
does this
a
even-
beautiful Hap.
Okay, so what is that as a hap?
So a Hap is a type of shawl.
Okay, that apparently goes
Shetland.
round.
It's big,
Yeah.
and you can divide it, like you can double it over to make a triangle.
Oh, I see. So
But it has a little bit of a round. This one has a little bit of a round thing.
Okay.
And if you've seen women dressed in, I'll see if I can find a picture, but if I can't, and they have shawls and they have them tucked into a belt.
Oh, it's these.
It's these.
So it would be the ones where it comes over the shoulders and then
yeah,
tucked
and crossed,
into their,
crossed usually, and it's either
Okay.
tucked into their
Okay.
Outlander
I was going to
style.
say, I think they have Outlander.
Yeah,
wearing
on the
that.
mine.
Claire wearing
Kate Davies actually has a book, the Book of Haps.
Haps.
So she obviously does as Kate does. all the whole essay on the whole thing, and I should have read that before I talked about this one. But this is actually, I think it's really cute. It's called the Happy Shawl.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, so it's cute.
Kim loves her puns.
Yeah, well, actually, that wasn't my pun. I don't know if Cheryl came up with that pun, but I'm not, anyway.
It's cute.
We could never just say the Hap Shawl.
No.
It would never happen. So, and this is not the original pattern that Cheryl did. It was modified by Simone.
Okay.
So Simone, when we very first opened, actually knit this sample for the store.
And she probably did it in like 2 days.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a straight garter middle, a square is how you start.
Is that the back? Or
It's
front?
garter.
There.
So it's kind of,
well, this is officially there.
Yes, because you can tell on the color work.
Yeah.
So you have, so the modifications that she did for the pattern is that the original Hap was in one color.
Okay.
And you had this straight square of garter stitch in the middle, and then you had this modified feather and fan on the top, but it was a narrow border.
And would it just all been one color?
Yes, it was all one color. So what Simone did, and it came in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large.
Okay.
So the pattern that you buy has the 3 sizes, and it has this modification written as well in the pattern.
Added to it. Nice.
Yeah, added to it.
Perfect.
So the way that this one worked is you start with the square, and then you do the border.
Okay.
And this version of it is the small size square.
Right.
So the Hap by itself has a skinny border and the different sizes of squares in the center.
Okay.
A small, medium, and large, depending on how big you want your Hap to be.
Okay.
So Simone took the small size square and then added this gigantic border.
Which I think I would need, because if I was going to wear a Hap that way and tucked into a belt, I'm going to need some significant length.
Yes.
For me.
Also, it's lovely with the skinny border, but this makes it look absolutely extravagant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cozy and gorgeous.
Yeah. And the colors here are oyster, Selkirk worsted, and slate.
Okay.
And then you've got bramble in the center. So these are the 3
what
colors.
they appear like when they're still just in a skein.
And we have a kit to make this shawl.
Oh, perfect.
On our website, which we've had there forever, but I'm just highlighting it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a little discount on the yarn, and the pattern comes with the kit. So
beautiful.
Yeah, and I reread the pattern, and I have to say, I wouldn't necessarily pass my own test for the list of 5. It's a little bit confusing. But I think with the explanation that I've given of how this modification was done, I think you'll be able to figure it out.
Okay.
But it is just a little bit confusing. But anyway, this is it's
just
really
gorgeous
nice
and very large. You could also just like have it on your lap as a blanket.
Yes, and the original one, which is the small, medium, and large, was actually knit in Aran weight.
Oh wow, that would be warm.
Yeah, it would be really, really warm. Yeah, and this is worsted, so it is a real modification of it. So,
but just lovely. I feel like I shifted my chair aside, so I'm just gonna shift back a bit.
Okay,
there we are.
And then we had I'm going to tell you where the yarn came from because I want to make full disclosure. So we had a batch of yarn that was supposed to be sock yarn. And then you notice that things just don't go quite right and you just can't abandon it. You need to come up with an idea. So this is what happened with a batch of sock that we had. And I wasn't happy with it. It's not twisted tight enough. So I knew that when people would purchase it as a sock yarn, it wouldn't be durable enough.
Okay. So the twist helps to add that durability for a sock yarn.
Yes, and the twist on this batch was not consistent enough or twist it tight enough.
Right.
So I knew that, like I said, if people started knitting socks with it, and we're pretty happy about the fact that our sock yarn is pretty durable. It works as sock yarn. It doesn't have any nylon in. Yeah. But I just knew that if it was sold as a sock yarn, it wasn't going to.
So the mohair's there, the wool is there.
It's the spinning.
Not
it's the spinning that's
Okay.
that wasn't great, which is my job in the mill. So anyway,
Who knows?
what we decided to do is we have a pattern that Simone did a long time ago called the Queen of Hearts hat, and we had that on our website, and we were substituting Selkirk worsted in that pattern, but really it was done in a fingering weight yarn.
Okay.
So we, at the time that Simone did that pattern, we had a fingering weight yarn on cones that we had when we very first started, and she used that for the pattern. But we don't have fingering other than sock. Sock is a fingering weight.
Yes.
But we don't have that general fingering weight yarn anymore in the catalog. So people were buying the Queen of Hearts hat, and then we're kind of stuck like, well, I'm going to use Selkirk worsted, but I'm going to have to make an adaptation. So it really didn't work. So I thought, well, it might not be durable for socks, but it's certainly going to be nice and squishy and soft for hats. So we're taking the full batch and we're winding skeins to perfectly match the needs for the hat. And you'll be able to buy it as a kit.
I was wondering how this was all connecting, socks and hats, and I'm looking over here seeing yarn colors. I gotta admit, Kim, I was like, where is she going? And then the socks, I'm fairly certain were knit by Janet.
Yeah.
But then you were talking about Simone's pattern. Okay, so it all makes sense now.
Yeah. So the pattern was knit in Strawberry Fields, and it's called Queen of Hearts, and it's got hearts on it. We're recording this on Valentine's Day. It all fits. So the kit will have, so it takes 150 yards of each color. So the kit will have 150 yards of Strawberry Fields and 150 yards of natural. Nice. So that's the kit to do the Queen of Hearts hat, and you will have to buy the pattern from Simone because she needs to be compensated for her work on that lovely pattern, but to get the yarn you've got the perfect amount to do it. So then I thought, well, this is really cute and it looks lovely in the red, but not everybody wants a red hat. So I looked for another interesting combination because we've got a full batch of sock yarn that we're going to make into these kits, so we've got a lot of yarn.
Yes.
So the combination I came up with was blue poppy with purple coneflower.
Nice.
So the purple coneflower will be the main color, and then you do the hearts out of the. Well, you can do whatever you want.
Switch,
yeah.
Or because they're the same, you have the same amount of each yarn. Okay, so you can do either one. That's nice too.
Yes. Interesting.
Very beautiful and. For a hat.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
So that kit is going to be on the website. And then since I only have one more thing on the shop update, then I'm just gonna, we have this, the handmade socks back in stock.
So I'm looking at these socks thinking she was talking about these socks and it wasn't making sense. This is a whole separate thing.
Yes, we're on a new topic now.
Got it.
So Janet, who does all of the handmade knits that we have in the shop, she is making these socks on her knitting machine, but she hand finishes them. So she's doing this and then she hand finishes them. And this is the only color it comes in. It's natural black, and this is our black sheep's wool that we put aside especially for this sock yarn, and we have them in stock. We have them in stock in the shop. Yeah. So if you want handmade socks out of 100% wool, feel them. They're really nice.
I haven't actually wore handmade wool socks. What? I know. I wear company made wool socks, but I need to. I've never knit them, and I haven't had anyone volunteering to knit them for me. So yeah. Well. And for those of you who like, when I hear black, I think black.
Yeah.
But natural black is really more of like a really dark brown.
85% chocolate.
Chocolate. There we go.
Yeah, it's like a dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Still gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not in high heels.
No.
They're thick. They're thick.
Yeah.
It's like it's a DK weight.
Okay.
So, but in, hiking boots and things like that.
Which is what I wear almost all the time.
Yeah.
I might have to buy a pair.
Yeah.
I'll get them first.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. This is not your size.
No. But
So,
they do come in, you said, a couple different sizes?
we have, we did have 4 sizes, but
Okay.
we have a local fisherman that the minute there's some in, he bought up all his size.
Okay.
So we have small, medium, and extra large.
Oh, so he took all the large. Okay.
Yeah, he took the large. Yeah. And when you go on the website to see the sizes, there's measurements there for the sizes, and I've measured from the tip of the toe to the heel. So these are the small, and that's 9 inches. So when you're looking at it, that's 9 inches without being stretched at all. Okay. So you want a little bit of negative ease on the socks so that they fit well.
Or you'll have bunchy on the toes.
Yeah, so the small would fit. You just have to measure your flat foot to your biggest toe, and then you'll know you can go. If it measures 9.5 inches, you would go with the 9-inch socks. So,
and do you know roughly about how tall they are?
That tall.
That tall.
It's more than mid calf, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd say about 10 inches maybe.
Yeah. Well, this is 9.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So no, more than that. It's 9. It's 10. It would be 9 inches to the bottom of the cuff.
Of the cuff. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So they are really nice. Yeah.
Really squishy.
Yeah.
That's my word of the day. Squishy.
Squishy. Yeah.
So okay, the table is empty.
Yes.
All right.
So the reason I'm going to it's dark now, or getting dark, so you can go home and go to bed. And the next thing that I'm going to do after you leave is I'm going to do the list of 5. And I said we'd talk about what we're wearing. So I'm wearing my Joe Batt's arm. And last episode I did the list of 5. I wanted to feature Simone's designs. This week, I'm going to feature Jennifer Beale's designs. So I liked the fact that we were supporting a local, pretty local. And so I'm going to do Jennifer Beale's designs. And of course, the Joe Batt's arm is knit, or as a knit J. Beale design.
And I'm completely cheating. It looks like I'm wearing I don't know if it looks like hand knit, but anyway, it's a Mark's Work Wearhouse special. Oh. I walked in, and for the price they wanted, I was nice. I could have it instantly.
Yeah.
So and nice. I bought it in it's big. I bought it purposely to be. I think it's a men's extra large. So that you can just cozy. Put it on and over top of whatever I want.
Yeah, it looks nice. It looks like you can crawl right in there.
I have dreams of actually doing this myself someday, and I will get there. But it was on sale.
Not with a bad shoulder though.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to take it easy for that.
I do. I need to get that fixed so that I don't have to stop doing what I love.
Yeah.
Because that would be very sad.
Yes, that would be.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. It's not the first time.
Oh, yeah? You've had it sore arm before?
Yes.
From crochet? Doing those llamas, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The tension on those.
The cotton, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you tomorrow, sunshine.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so that was a bit of a marathon, but we covered a lot of ground in there. So you have you've seen the new things that are in the shop, and that we're refocusing on some things that we've already had in the shop, but I wanted to talk about again. And now I want to do the list of 5, as I said. So we're featuring the designs of Jennifer Beale. Jennifer is a fantastic designer from Newfoundland, and all of her designs are named for places in Newfoundland. She is her patterns are very well written, and she has always some kind of a fun construction or some kind of technique which is fun that you can look at and learn and improve your knitting with her patterns. And they're always designs that are unique and beautiful. So I'm actually wearing Joe Batt's arm, which I'm going to talk about in the list of 5 because that's one of the ones that I chose because I love this pattern. But as usual, I looked at all of the patterns. She's got 49 patterns on Ravelry. I looked at all of the patterns. I looked at what was the most popular. who had the most, which ones had the most projects. I looked at the ranking, what people said about the projects and so forth. And I'm also going to talk about how easy or difficult the pattern may be. I think that because Jennifer's patterns are so unusual and look very complex, the construction is always not typical, that maybe people are afraid to try her pattern because you think that maybe you won't be able to do it. So I would say that Simone that works here has knit more Jennifer Beale patterns than even I have knit. And she, I asked her, what would you say, Simone, are her patterns good for a beginner, or is it really a no-go for a beginner? And Simone and I were discussing it, and she said, well, she said, it would have, I think the problem is that as a beginner, you may not have the confidence to keep going with it, working through a pattern that is a little bit different from being completely straightforward. However, because of the quality of the pattern writing with Jennifer Beale's patterns, she walks you through every step. You never feel lost, even though you're not quite sure. It's an unusual construction and you're not quite sure what's going to happen next. But if you follow the pattern step by step, then she gives you everything that you need to know. She also points you in the direction of tutorials that will help you. And if she doesn't do tutorials herself, but she always gives you a place where you can go for help for any technique that she's doing. And I would say that that you could be an adventurous beginner and do the pattern. And there's one pattern on here that I know a friend of ours of the shop actually did as her first sweater, so we'll talk about that as well. So it is possible, but the patterns are really, really different if you're not familiar with Jennifer Beale's designs. So the first one that I chose, I said I would choose the one that has the most projects for the first one. And I was actually surprised to see that it was actually one of the patterns that was designed with our yarn. So it's called Step Aside. And this has color work and a really funky construction, as all Jennifer's patterns do. And it's knit with our Aran weight yarn. So it has, it's the most popular of all of Jennifer Beale's patterns. And Jennifer, my sister, actually knit this design as well. And it's designed for signature Aran, and it has a cropped length in the design, and it's bracelet length sleeves. So I looked at all the projects because cropped and bracelet length is not for everybody, but there are quite a few examples on the projects on Ravelry where people have lengthened it and made the sleeves longer as well. So if cropped and bracelet length sleeves isn't for you, there is lots of people that had written notes about lengthening the sweater. And what everybody talks about when they see this design is it was really the first pattern that Jennifer did that I'm aware of that had those really cool pockets that are in the front. So that's called Step Aside. And like I said, the recommended yarn is Fleece and Harmony signature yarn, and it's a warm sweater. So if you have hot flashes, then it might not be the design for you. But if you want something that you can wear that looks really, really contemporary, but you want an outdoor sweater, or if you're cold indoors, then it is that's a great project out of signature Aran. The second pattern that I chose is called Trepassey. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, Trepassey. And this is a cardigan with lace and cables. So Jennifer does lace and cables mixed really, really well. And I just love the look of this cardigan. And it's so beautiful. It's actually knit in a DK yarn. And I took a look at the weight of the yarn that they were using, and you could actually use Rowan felted tweed for this as well. Our Selkirk worsted is a little bit too heavy, but I think if you wanted to knit, and there's such a wide variety of colors in felted tweed, if you wanted to look at Rowan felted tweed for this, it would actually make a really nice yarn for this, because it does have a bit of drape to it, and that would really play really nicely with the design of this beautiful cable and lace pattern. So third on the list is Jo Batt's arm, and this is what I'm wearing. And if you've been a long time watcher of the podcast, Jo Batt's arm became a running joke because I think it took me almost a year to knit it. It's not difficult to knit, but it looks like it's a very complex pattern. So I was actually pretty nervous to start it because you have color work on the side, which you'll be able to see in the picture, and you have these straps of color work here. I was really afraid that your gauge would have to be perfect in order to make this work. So because she's so smart, Jennifer has written the pattern in such a way that you actually pick up stitches along the color work. So you don't need to worry about the fact that if your sleeve doesn't, if your gauge, you need your gauge to be right, but you don't need it to be like so consistent that it's like, like within a tenth of a centimeter or whatever. You have a little bit of leeway because of the way it's constructed. So I also knit this in Selkirk Workset, like I said, and the pattern was for a superwash DK yarn. So those two yarns don't perform at all alike. So I actually had to do a gauge swatch, and then I had to do the adjustments for the size of my gauge swatch, and I knit a smaller size to get the right the number of stitches for a smaller size in order to get the finished garment that was the right size. When I did that, I found out that actually the bust was not going to be quite large enough for my body type. So there was no way that I wanted to start adjusting cables or adding extra repeats or anything. So what I did to compensate for that was I actually went up a needle size. So I can't remember exactly what the needle sizes were, but I think it was something like a 4 on the main body. When I got to where I was going to start coming into the bust area, I moved up to a 4.5. I knit this section with 4.5 needles, and then went back down to a 4 to finish the shoulders and the neck. And the color work is all done, and I think I can't remember if she recommends doing a larger size for the color work as well, but I followed whatever her instructions were. So you pick up stitches along the color work, and then you hide where you picked up with like a little, you can do a crochet line here, so you won't be able to see it, but there's almost like a little seam here. It's not a seam, it's actually crochet work, or might have even been like a pick up and cast off right away work here along to hide that. So it looks like you've knit it in, but you're actually attaching these strips to the work by picking up stitches. So it's really a really clever construction, and I'm not going to say that you don't have to pay attention while you're doing the cable and the lace work here, but the pattern is well written. You're never lost. You know where you're going at every step. So it wasn't overly difficult, I would say. If you really want a pattern that's a little bit easier and maybe is a little bit more beginner-ish like, then I would suggest my next suggestion, which is Lamaline. And this is knit in a fingering weight, but again, you could use felted tweed for this project. And I'm calling it kind of a beginner-ish one because you see that there's only like areas of color work on those strips. So it's actually knit in 2 pieces, another cardigan, and I just love it. It's just so unusual and beautiful, but you'll be introduced to color work. Usually, I'm not sure, I didn't read the pattern for this one, but usually Jennifer does color work, those strips that are features in a lot of her patterns, and they're usually done with a steek, but you have a tiny steek, it's only about this long. So if you want to try steeking, most of her patterns have steeking. I'm not sure if this one has or not, but mostly they do. So Lamaline, like I said, another beautiful pattern. It says a fingering weight, but when I looked at the gauge, 23 stitches on a 3mm needle is the gauge for this. That would be a gauge that you would also be able to get with Rowan felted tweed. And finally, the last one that I wanted to look at is Ramea. Ramea, I wear this one on the podcast from time to time. It's just a beautiful sweater. My version is knit with Eldon lace in Mayflower, and you have these color work areas up the sleeve as well. Jennifer uses that a lot. And the fun thing about this one is that the lace on the front is knit. So you're knitting it up and down like that, and then you turn it around. So you're knitting it like lace, you would, but you're actually attaching it in the sweater across. So it actually goes horizontal. So that's really, really cool. What I really love about this design is the elbow length sleeves, and it just has a lovely drape to it when it's on as well. It has I-cord edging around, so you do need to be a little bit conscientious not to make the I-cord too tight, because then it'll kind of go in. But if you leave your I-cord nice and relaxed, then you just have kind of a straight finish. And actually a customer of ours has knit this as a beginner sweater. It was her very first sweater that she ever knit, and she did a great job. So again, the instructions are really, really clear. It can seem like it's going to be daunting, but even Tanya said in her notes that she put on Ravelry that she never felt lost. You always understood where you're going with the pattern. So that's the list of 5 for Jennifer Beale patterns, and I hope that you saw something there that you might like to challenge yourself with. And as I said, you don't need to be afraid. They look like they're complicated, and some of them are, but on this list that I've given you, you can, most of them have been knit by somebody that I know personally, so then you can rest assured that the instructions will lead you through the forest. So I hope you see something there that you would like, and you're going to be able to try out one of Jennifer Beale's patterns. I want to finish up here. I think that's we've had kind of a long session with Betsy, and I've rambled on now for longer than I thought I would. So we're going to go to the harmony part. We decided, Ken took photographs of some of the sheep one day in the barn, and some of them are coming right up to the camera and everything. So we thought we would just do like a little montage of the faces of our sheep, and you can take a look at them. And like I said, the ones that have names, because they have little personalities that stood out for some reason, we'll put their names there, and then you can just listen to the music and enjoy their sweet little faces. So I wish you two fantastic weeks until we talk the next time, and have fun with your crafting, and I hope it brings you joy, whatever it is that you're doing with your hands, and doing for relaxation or just for the joy of it. And have a great 2 weeks, and enjoy the harmony part. Bye.